Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at one of my all-time favorite Schleich Dinosaur figures, and it is their Kentrosaurus. This was the first Kentrosaurus that they released, or at least the first recent Kentrosaur. I don't know if there were any previously to this, but this was the first one that I had ever seen from Schleich, and I absolutely fell in love with it the minute I saw it. They did release another Kentrosaurus later on, but I wasn't quite as impressed with that one as I was with this one. The other one was nice too, but this one was just an absolute beauty of a Kentrosaurus. So without further ado, let's get a closer look at this beautiful Schleich Kentrosaurus. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see the head sculpt is really quite nicely done, and there are plenty of tones of coloration included just here in the head. You can see a darker coloration kind of under the eye, and you've got all sorts of variation of purple included here, which I really think looks beautiful on this figure, and it's something that I would not have expected to look so good and so realistic, honestly, is a purplish color, but Schleich have applied that brilliantly on this Kentrosaurus, and it honestly looks very, very real the way they've done it. You can see a darker coloration right around the snout, around the nostril area and the beak. And then there's some lighter coloration here right in the mouth area. You can see that the mouth is open and the tongue is in there. It's very nicely painted. I think overall the head sculpt looks really, really cool. The eye has a little tiny bit of sloppiness to it, but nothing major. Nothing I would complain about. This eye over here, he has kind of a strange look, but I feel like he's looking up at something because he's kind of in that position where something might be approaching and he's about to defend himself. So that's basically the idea I get from the way the eye is positioned on this side. The Kentrosaurus just really kind of appears to be in panic mode, in my opinion. And it's really the idea that the sculpt in general gives me, but that eye on this side also really helps give me that kind of feeling. You can look down here under the neck, there's some nicely done hanging skin, and that's where you'll first probably take note of that nice wash that Schleich has included, a very dark wash, and I love when they include the washes because I really think that's one thing that Schleich does that most companies don't do, that really gives their figures such a huge jump as far as realism goes, is including a darker wash, and it really pays off when it comes to their figures, giving them such a realistic, very living type of a look. Sometimes they tend to skip out on that, but more often than not they do include that wash, and they have in this Kentrosaurus, which is probably one of the things that I think I like the most about it, is just how real it looks. As usual with Schleich, there is just insane amounts of sculpt work and detail included. You can really take note of the skin bunching up here right in front of the leg as the leg is pushing up. Beautiful scales and all kinds of creases in the skin as you run down the leg. Very nicely sculpted foot here. You can kind of see the nails are a similar color, but they are in fact painted. They're just a lighter coloration. Beautiful wash you can also take note of being included in there. Once again, making it look very real, but kind of giving it an idea of skin tone. I really like that. That beautiful purple starts to really take form on the upper part of the back here. And again, you can see there are a few different variations and shades of purple included, which again make it have some very nice skin tone and very realistic looking. Very beautifully done as far as the sculpting of these spikes on the side, the shoulder spikes, the entire detail all around as far as that mound of skin where the shoulder spike protrudes from looks fantastic. It really looks beautiful, and the actual shoulder spike itself has kind of a dirty type of a look to it due to the wash being included, and I honestly don't know if I've ever seen a more realistic spike than I see on this Kentrosaurus right here. It's honestly absolutely incredible the way that that looks, and I love that it tapers off to this darker coloration here at the end. Once again, really kind of giving it a very realistic look. It does have a little chip of paint here, but that wasn't there when I got it. I'm not even honestly sure how it happened, but regardless, that's not something that is included with the paint job, it's just there. Looking up here at the plates on the back of the neck too, insane sculpt work. Look how absolutely beautiful. It honestly almost has me at a loss for words at how nice the sculpting of those plates are. There are so many little fine, minute details all throughout the sculpting of those plates. It's just jaw-dropping work done by Schleich. Looking down here with this front leg also, you can really see the body reacting to the movement of the dinosaur. The skin being pulled looks so real and so absolutely perfect. All sorts of large scales throughout the body here that you can take note of. and you can take note of the rib cage also right there. You can see the skin pulling here on this rear leg also. I feel like the sculpt honestly is perfect for this figure, and the way it's moving, everything looks to be reacting exactly as it should be, and it just looks so insanely real. You can see all sorts of loose and kind of saggy skin on the underside as well, and that beautiful wash that has been again included really helps to make that detail pop and just really stick out to you. I love the way that's done also. You've also got these large scales up here on the back, all over where that purplish coloration is, and it kind of streaks down in a few little areas right here as you get down into the hip area and thigh. You can take note of some of the musculature here of the thigh as well as you come down into the knee area and the foot. The foot also looks fantastic. Nails are not sloppy, they're beautifully painted. Coming back up here into the tail, once again you can really take note of the way the skin is reacting to the body movement right there when it comes to the big long skin fold right here, and then there's all sorts of wrinkles in the skin and everything all throughout that area. That looks fantastic as well. And this tail comes out in a very nice beautiful curve. Everything looks great there. That very nice wash is also really quite present the whole way out on the tail. And once again, looking at these spikes up here and the plates, everything just looks so real. The way that that wash has been included, making them look really, really dirty, and exactly what I would expect them to look like, honestly. They just look fantastic. And then looking at this side, you can really take note right here of a whole bunch of skin just kind of folding up because the dinosaur has its head turned that way. So again, great attention to detail on the part of Schleich. That area right here looks beautiful once again, where the skin is kind of mounding up to have the shoulder spike come out. The shoulder spike also looks beautiful, and I think the coloration, that lighter color that's very similar to what you would see on a deer antler or something, just looks perfect for this, and it's honestly the absolute most perfect coloration when it comes to spikes that I can think of. Coming down into the leg once again, beautiful skin wrinkling right here behind this leg as it's bending up into the body. The overall skin detail looks fantastic. The skin texture really gives you the idea and sense that it's a large animal. It looks very similar to like an elephant or a rhinoceros, something I would see on that. So it's beautiful the way that's been sculpted. The skin detail in the stomach also looks really, really nice, very large scaling everywhere. And you can again see this left rear leg pushing up into the stomach, kind of bunching the skin a little bit there. The attention to detail in this figure is absolutely staggering, honestly. And then you've got some nice musculature here in the thigh, coming down into the leg. Beautiful foot sculpt again, very nicely sculpted knee, and again you can see the tail and the sculpt work coming out here into the tail looks great, and once again looks exactly as I would expect it to look with the position that the body is in. The plates on the back all look fantastic on this side as well, and again very realistically painted, and that beautiful wash that is included just really takes that realism to another level. Even if you look at it from the top, everything just looks so real and so insanely nice, and I think by now you've probably got a pretty good idea of just why this is probably my favorite Schleich figure ever. As far as a size goes, from the head to the tail, because it is curved, it's going to be about 5.5 inches or about 14 centimeters in length, and for a height to the tip of that tail spike there, you're about 4 inches or 10 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is the Papo T-Rex, who you can see is much larger than our smaller Kentrosaurus there. But again, it's honestly a perfect sized Kentrosaurus. It really is. I think it's a great size, and it looks very cool. You can make some very cool looking dioramas with this figure. If you had a dinosaur that was looking down at the Kentrosaurus itself, in this position, it could make such a sweet looking diorama that this really honestly could be used with almost any figure to make some sort of cool visual. And as with most Schleich figures, there is a bootleg. Shocker there. The bootleg actually isn't that bad either, honestly. I kind of like the bootleg too. Maybe it's just because I'm such a big fan of the original, but I do really like the bootleg also. I think the coloration on the bootleg version is also actually pretty appealing. I really like the green that's up here on the top, and they've done a very cool dry brushing actually over it that makes it look honestly pretty real. They've done a very good job actually of bootlegging this figure. It's not near as nice as the original Schleich, but it is still pretty good. Unfortunately, because it is a bootleg, you can kind of see some of the spikes are pretty warped, and have bent in some fairly awkward positions, something you don't see on the actual Schleich original. The Schleich is much better quality as well, but the paint honestly of this is fairly appealing, and I'm always a big fan of green with like a reddish type of a spike and plates. I really like that for some reason, I don't know why, so they kind of caught me off guard with this bootleg and forced me into liking it due to the coloration that they've done. Again, you can take note here that this is also slightly bowed and warped because of it being a bootleg. The actual paint job, if we take a closer look, the eye is really sloppily painted. It doesn't look very good up close, and the overall appearance of it has a very cheap feel and cheap look, and definitely doesn't include that beautiful wash. It's not near as nice as, again, as the Schleich original, but it's still kind of appealing just because of the paint scheme they went with. I definitely do like this paint scheme, but once again, it's something that you should probably not own or not buy unless you're going to buy the original Schleich first, because bootlegs definitely take money out of the pockets of the people who originally created this sculpt, and that would certainly not be whoever made this figure. That would be this beauty, this work of art right here. Unfortunately, I'm not positive where to even buy this bootleg anymore, as I purchased it quite a long time ago, but if you do want to have a few different Kentrosaurus figures that look similar to the original Schleich, it's not probably a bad idea to pick one of them up. But again, make sure you buy the original Schleich first. Not to mention the fact that what I mentioned before with the money should go to the person who originally created the sculpt, but at the same time, the original Schleich is light years better as far as the paint and detail goes on that one compared to the bootleg version. This one, of course, being bootlegged, has definitely lost some detail, so it's not quite as vibrant or beautiful as the original Schleich. Not to mention it's slightly different in pose. It kind of isn't quite in the defensive pose that this one is in. It's more of like a I'm just kind of strolling along type pose, whereas this one looks a lot more defensive to me. The head on this one is actually turned, whereas this one is kind of straight as well. So they've kind of re-sculpted it a little bit, which is cool if you do a diorama, because then they won't look exactly the same. But once again, the Schleich one looks so much better than this bootleg version. Either way though, the Schleich version is beautiful, and most definitely one of, if not my favorite Schleich figures of all time. It is that nice, it really is. I highly recommend anybody interested in that Kentrosaurus to pick one up as soon as possible, because you will not regret it. It's beautiful. The paint applied is fantastic. They've of course done that trademark Schleich wash that I think always takes their figures to a whole nother level of realism. The paint applied, like I said, looks fantastic, and that purple is just so insanely realistic looking, and it's not something I would expect to look so real on a figure like that, but Schleich has applied it in brilliant fashion and it looks beautiful. Everything on it looks fantastic. The plates, the spikes, everything looks so good as far as the coloration and the wash included. It just looks so legit and so real. And I love the pose that it's in, having a defensive pose. It just, everything about it is awesome. I love this Schleich Kentrosaurus. So if you do want to buy the Kentrosaurus, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase one for yourself. So check the description if you want to buy this knockoff version. Your best bet is probably to look on AliExpress. I'll see if I can find a link to one, and if I can't, then just again look on AliExpress or eBay. You'll probably stumble upon one at some point, because they were pretty heavily bootlegged for a little while there, so they should be all over the place. Either way, I'll try to find you a link to the bootleg, but again, purchase the original first. It's much better. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.